At the end of every episode of my podcast and of my videos, I typically end it with saying, "Keep a force field around your heart," which is a quote from my uncle Sam, who said that to me on a video back in 2013. And it always just stuck with me. And I always thought it was some gangster ass final boss shit to say. And so I say it at the end of every video. And now it's become synonymous with me. But this is a subversion of that quote, and it's keep a force field around your art. The idea is to understand what I mean by force field. It's a protective barrier that shields your creative work around negative influences. Have you ever wanted to tell someone that you're a musician or you're a stand up comedian or you're a filmmaker, an indie filmmaker, or you're an actor, but you don't want to be scrutinized? You don't want the heat that comes from that. You don't want to have to explain yourself and, oh, how come you're not in Hollywood, or how come you're not in Los Angeles or New York, or have you, is there anything, is your movie on Netflix or whatever? Maybe you've wanted to protect that and keep that close to the vest. That's keeping a force field around your art. And it's protecting yourself from negative influences, because there's a lot of people who just don't care, who are just not about that. So you have to protect your passion and protect your creative process as well. Now, it's essential to safeguard your artistic, creative process from an abundance of things, from distractions, criticisms, external pressures, your friends, your family, your coworkers. There are people who don't need to know how the sausage is made. It doesn't matter. There are people who just throw shade and throw bombs on your passion when you're trying to protect yourself. And you have to identify who these and what these negative influences are. So I recommend you highlight, if you haven't already, take an audit amongst your negative influences. And that might even be yourself. That might even be your self doubt. It could be the haters online. I get hate comments every day. It could be your work environment. It could be toxic home environment. It could be your own creative blocks. So you have to protect yourself, and I recommend setting boundaries. Keep a close knit people around you that you let into your passion, to your creative process, to your art. And not everybody gets to come in. You got to gatekeep your art and set those boundaries and make them very clear. And you have to protect your creative time and space. And I recommend this to everyone. I've done this. It's hard now that I live with my kids and my dogs, and it's hard now. But when I was single, I was able to embrace my solitude, and I really enjoyed my time alone. I really appreciated that. There's so much value in embracing your solitude. There's so many benefits, and I see it as an enhancement to creativity and focus. If you have all that, I mean, that's the thing I learned when I had kids is, wow, how much time I fucking wasted beforehand, before I had kids. I wasted all that time. And if you're single and you don't have kids, that's the time to lock in. That's the time to enhance your creativity and your focus right there. And embrace that solitude. Keep that dome around your art and around your heart. Make sure shots can't get in. Make sure there's no leaks in that motherfucker. And cultivate a positive environment. I know it sounds a little corny, but it's like tending to a garden. That's yours. You got to protect it throughout all 4 seasons. And you got to create a support system, an inspiring environment that nurtures your creativity. That might mean blocking a few numbers. That might mean getting off some social media sites that don't benefit you. I recently got off X and Facebook. Those were just time sucks. I mean, I rarely participated in those discourses and that conversation, and I just opted out. It was just a waste of time. And more importantly, I didn't, on Facebook, I didn't give a shit about what other people were doing. That's just the reality. Like, I wasn't invested in other people. That's just the reality. I had to create a positive environment for me, and I deleted those apps, and all of a sudden I got my clarity back and I got my time back. And what do you know? I've been consistent for the past week, which I'm very proud of, by the way. And if you've made it this far in the podcast or in the video, I want to thank you, because I wouldn't do this if you weren't listening. So, amongst creating a positive environment in your own dome, in your own force field, I want to recommend mindfulness and in your mental health journey as well. That's part of this force field. I've really protected my mental health over the past couple of years, and it wasn't easy. We live in a time full of distraction, full of toxicity, full of poison, full of news and information. As you know, we're overwhelmed, bombarded even with so much data and screaming online. Like I read things in like the shittiest tones of voice, and you must protect your mental health as well. And that's part of the practice and maintaining a strong force field around your art. And when you put your art out there, seek constructive feedback. A lot of the shit you're going to get is miscellaneous or hate or just negativity or worse, indifference. It might not have a positive impact on the feedback loop, but seek constructive, critical feedback. Understand the difference between criticism and constructive feedback, and learn how to seek out and benefit from the latter. That's part of this force field as well. Filtering the good criticism from just the hate. And there's so much hate out there. I get called all kinds of names. Just yesterday, I was called an obese neckbeard, playing on a children's app, which was TikTok, by the way, because I posted something. And if you say anything, then you lose everything. And I risk that shit every single day. I say it. And I got a thick skin. I've been online chronically for a long time. But I know the good criticism from the bad. I can tell the difference. I've been doing it long enough to tell, oh, this hurts because there's a lot of truth in that. And then there's so much that just goes over my head. So seek constructive feedback and balance art and criticism. This is a balancing act. Everybody needs external input, but you have to protect your vision. You have to protect your vision. You have to protect your clarity. You have to protect your focus. And I understand what you consume is kind of what you create, right? Like if I'm watching a lot of comedies, then I'm more funny in real life. If I'm watching a lot of horror shit, I tend to be more scared and pessimistic and cynical in life. You are what you consume, so audit that. You got to keep a force field around what you consume as well. Balance the art that you consume with the art that you create as well. And I think at the end of the day, this will empower your identity as an artist with this dome, with this force field. Trust your instincts, stay true to your vision, constantly reinforce this force field, this dome, this protection, this barrier, this force field of self-belief and perseverance. Protect that shit by any means necessary, because people are going to try to break in. People are going to try to steal your piece. People are going to say, oh, this is derivative, or this sounds like that, or, they're going to say, and it's a lot of people that don't create, from my experience, that throw shade, You got to be careful who you bring into your art. You got to be careful who you're giving it to and who you take that criticism from. It's all a balancing act. So keep a force field around your art and your heart. And I think you'll be okay, and you'll be more focused and more clear, and your art will be better for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sponsorships are still available, and I'm going to create a sort of sheet that is what I'm looking for with the rates that I'm looking for. So if you or anybody else is open to advertising on this pod, please reach out to me, DM me, email me, text me, whatever you have to do. Get a hold of me. I want to promote you, and I want to share your message along with the pod if it jives with me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Go on Spotify and give this 5 stars. I'd really appreciate that. I want to have 100 ratings, good, bad, or indifferent, on Spotify by the end of the year. So let's do that. We got a perfect 5 stars on Apple Pod, but let's bring those Spotify numbers up. That'd be fantastic. Anyways, I've taken enough of your time. Keep a force field around your heart and your art, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.